Life isn't perfect, and neither are we.
Nope. But we know how to face our fears
And have some fun.
and talk about all the messiest things of life.
Like the messiest things.
Get connected to yourself, get connected to others, and get connected to the life right in front of you.
This is The Connected Life with Justin and Abby.
That's me.
That's you.
And you.
Oh, for the love of God, I don't know what to say. I said it so well before. Here we are. I don't know. I'm stuck in this situation between two women, and I don't like it.
You love it. You're stuck in between two women that you love. Admit it.
But not in the same way.
I
Just
was
to clarify.
I was like, I feel like there needs to be clarity, but let your mind go wherever it wants to go.
Yeah. No, this is my favorite kind of episode because we have Rachel here.
Hello.
And we love Rachel. She has been in the Stumball universe for at least a decade.
Yeah.
I've trained her for years. She's a master consultant. She's a genius. And then what I love is that she adds all of the sciencey facts to everything.
Yeah, that's true.
I was thinking about how like I read the science and I'm like, that makes sense. That checks. I believe that. What about this? What about that? Once I have solved that, I throw all the science in my brain out because it feels like it's taking up too much space.
Right. You mean like the ability to like reference it. You're like, I know I've read it.
100%.
I got it. Couldn't tell you where it came from.
No, I don't know. My brain is constantly trying to get rid of information because of my ADD. But somehow she collects it. It sticks to her forever and she remembers.
She's an Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yes,
over
she
here.
is. And we are talking about one of my favorite subjects right now. And I hooked her into doing it because it's one of her favorite subjects too. We're going to talk about attachment and we're going to do something we've never done before. And I don't think there's many podcasts out there like this because we are going to be talking about disorganized attachment as 3 disorganized attachers.
I feel like I've been categorized in something that I did not sign up for.
This is your intervention.
In all fairness, I did drag you into this because I thought you would be good to hear about this concept.
So I'm being confronted publicly. Well done. Well done.
I'm actually not confronting you because I don't feel like I need you to get this for us. I thought this might relieve your soul about some things
really?
in your own world.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah.
So you thought, hey, well, this is what people, our listeners, do to their spouses anyways, is they take this podcast and use
They're
it
like,
as
hey,
ammo.
listen to this.
Yeah, I guess the tables have been turned on us, huh?
The
At least me.
tables have turned. Yeah. But I love you and I'm glad you're here. And I love you and I'm glad you're here.
Happy to be here.
And this is going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So I'm going to start with just a very general basis for attachment systems. And the more I've understood attachments, the more our relationship has untangled because I've been able to recognize what's going on in my body and my emotions. And then I've been able to communicate more with you, which has helped you be able to meet my needs more, which has helped me be less crazy. Ultimately,
Less crazy is good.
The more I've learned about attachment, the safer I've been in our relationship.
Absolutely.
Doesn't that feel true?
Yeah, absolutely. You've understood yourself in a way that you're like, oh, this is what's going on in my attachment. This is where there's a breakdown inside of it, and I can do something about that.
Yeah, I can give you a map to what I need, whereas in the
helpful.
past, I just needed you to mind read, and then I got really upset when you couldn't do that.
Yeah, I think that that's a huge pain point for a lot of people in relationships is that because an individual doesn't understand themselves and how they're wired, they are expecting everyone to just meet some unspoken need and pain point and all of that. And so once there's understanding, then there's articulation, right? Because then once you've articulated to me, I'm like, oh, she gets her, I get her better, and I know how to participate, and we all win.
Well, and it's so crazy because I used to believe everyone felt like me.
Right.
So when I did behavior, when I felt unsafe, I was like, they clearly know that this is what I want them to do. But they don't clearly know because everybody attaches differently. And so that's why it's so important to learn about attachment. Attachment, there are 4 different, there's many people have a variety of how they explain this. I'm going to explain it the simplest way, I think, which is that there are 4 different kinds of attachments. The first one is secure attachment. That means there's hope for all of us to grow towards something that feels better than what we've been in our whole lives.
Feels good, feels
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah, you're not always freaking out if the person likes you or not. You feel really connected. It's when disconnection happens, you're not afraid
Mhm.
because you actually believe it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And you actually feel safe enough in your own skin. You don't need to blame and attack them. You don't need to blame or attack yourself. You feel at peace with yourself and at peace with others inside of connection and independence.
Yeah.
You can actually move between connection and
Mhm.
independence without feeling threat.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything?
Oh, I just thought that was a beautiful way to say it. So I was like, yeah, that is exactly how it feels. It's the ease that you can move between those two things without getting stuck in a threat response
Yes.
as much.
Love that. Then you have anxious ambivalent, which is when things don't feel right, I have anxiety. And so I lean towards the relationship. I want to come close. I want to get our connection back.
Yeah.
I might be clingy. I might be needy. I might pick a fight to try to feel that connection again. I might, like I'm trying to do whatever I can to get back to feeling safe relationally.
Yeah. It's almost like I feel a sense of unsafety inside of me. And so I seek to stabilize the relationship as a way to feel safe again.
Love that.
Yeah.
Which is something that you did often. There was a lot of that behavior. And once I understood your anxious attachment style, I was like, does somebody need connection? Does someone need to feel secure and safe? And then I could actually transition in the way that I participated.
Don't get ahead of us, Justin. You're jumping ahead.
Okay.
I'm not anxious. And I'm
We're
totally
special.
anxious. So the
Yeah.
third one is avoidant. And that is when I feel unsafe in life, I want to go be alone by myself so that I can feel safe again. Relationships feel dangerous to me. And so or people can feel dangerous. And so I'd rather be by myself because then no one is hurting me. Then no one's harming me.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, so with anxious attachment, a lot of times you got your needs met sometimes, but not all the times when you were a kid. And so you learned that the inconsistency of connection meant you could get to safety through relationships. A lot of times avoidance, when they were growing up, realized they weren't going to get their needs met enough. Their needs were so regularly getting dismissed or diminished that they just quit needing people in order to feel safer in how they move in the world.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, like if you think about anxious attachment, it's almost like your signal cry. So you're like, I'm going to reach out to other people to let you know that I'm in threat or I'm feeling scared. That gets dialed up in anxious attachment. So your signal cry goes towards the relationship. Please soothe me. Please help me. In an avoidant relationship, it's and if you're an avoidant attacher, it's almost like that signal cry gets shut down.
Yes.
So then it goes, I'm not going to reach out. Reaching out feels way too vulnerable. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to be like a turtle and slurp inside my own shell. And it's safe in here all by myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very true. And then you have what we are discussing in this podcast.
The special type.
Which is disorganized attachment. And disorganized, and that's why you recognize the anxious part, is disorganized is really that you are going between anxious and avoidant and you're flipping between them regularly. And so we're gonna break down disorganized in this episode because it is, I'll give a big overview, which is you have anxious and avoidant tendencies inside of you. So when you feel unsafe, you simultaneously want to be alone to separate, and you also want the relationship to be fixed and connected to. And so you're ping-ponging back and forth between, do I withdraw or do I come close? And you can have a real push-pull sensation of like, I want you far away, I want you close to me at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's very confusing inside of ourselves, and it's very confusing for our partners. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah. It's sort of like, get away from me, but please don't go too far.
Yeah.
It's sort of that internal feeling at the same time. You feel scary, so I need to be alone, but also, that also
Don't leave
feels
me.
really insecure. Yeah. The disorganized attachers are to me, I think, a really complicated double bind.
Yes.
So basically, if you think about it as like all humans have two primary basic needs. Well, we could say lots of needs really,
Yeah.
but in attachment, we have the need to be able to be autonomous and be independent. And we have the need to be able to connect
Yes.
and bond.
Totally.
And those two are interplaying. And like you're talking about with anxious, you probably pull more towards, I'm going to try to bond to feel safe. And in avoidant, you try to go into independence to feel safe.
Yep.
With disorganized, you're in a real hard spot because if you start to lean towards connection, you start to sense a threat. So you start to be like, it actually might not be safe for me to get this close.
Yeah.
I want connection, but the second I start to reach in that direction, my nervous system starts to pull up all the memories that relationship didn't feel safe anymore.
Yes.
And then my body wants to go in self-protection.
Yeah.
The contrast, then what happens is if I try to go by myself, I pull into independence and my body has memories of feeling abandoned
and alone
and feeling alone. And then my body brings up memories from that. So it really does create this feeling inside of yourself that there's no safe place to go.
Yes.
I can't go towards you and I can't go towards me.
Yes.
So it feels like this paralysis in between land that feels really dysregulating and disorienting.
And insanity making.
For
the person that's having it happen,
Yes.
and to the people that are on the other side of it.
Yeah. I think for me, when I go into disorganized attachment, so I'm not always in that state.
Yeah.
But I do go into it. It feels traumatic inside of my own body to be in disorganized attachment because that sense that you said, I cannot find safety. If I go towards you, it doesn't feel safe. If I go towards me, it doesn't feel safe. If I pull away, I'm going to be abandoned. But if I come close, I'm going to be hurt. So there's panic everywhere. And there's almost a sensation of complete powerlessness. I'm going to be stuck in this panic forever. And so then what I do is in the past, so now it's much easier because I can just narrate. I can tell that I'm having disorganized attachment come up.
Yeah.
I can tell, like now I've learned about it and I can narrate it without getting lost in it. So instead of being like, I think you're unsafe and I think I'm unsafe, it'll more like be like, I can tell I can't figure out how to get to safety. I am ping-ponging between all of the options. I want to reconnect with you, but I also feel like I need to be alone and I don't know how to navigate between my two inner bullies, between my two inner protectors. They're not bullies, they're protectors, but it feels so confusing inside of us. And I want to talk about how we start getting this. I still remember the day my counselor said, you are in a relationship with your mom where she is emotionally incesting you. And I was like, what? What does that mean? And she gave me this book called Emotional Incest Syndrome, and she told me to go read it. And when my mom saw that book on my bookshelf, she lost her mind that my counselor would ever give her that book. But emotional incest is when your parents use their relationship with you to get their needs met, to get their romantic needs met or their emotional needs met, or to parent them. Anytime that you as a kid parented your parent, that means you were in an emotionally incestuous relationship with your parent. And so what that looked like for me is my mom and dad weren't connected. And so I was my mom's confidant. I was the one she processed all of her pain with. I was the one that she cried to. I was the one that she told her secrets to. I was the one that she needed. I was the one person who loved her. I was the one person who was safe for her. I was the one reason she was alive. And so what that created for me in my childhood was this immense amount, I'm very special to my mom. I mean a lot to her. She loves me so much, but also it's a huge threat because she is sucking the life out of me. There is no boundaries between me and her. I don't know where I end and she begins. I don't know what my boundaries are. And I don't think I'm allowed to have boundaries. I don't feel like we have a separate world. I feel guilty if I'm not including her in everything because she'll feel rejected or left out.
Yeah.
When her whole self-esteem is built on me, it's because now I am her source. Instead of her husband being a part of her source, or her friends being a part of her source, or God being a part of her source, or her hobbies, or, you know, like she wasn't getting self-worth from external things. She was looking to me to meet her needs. Now, everybody's relationships can look slightly different.
Yeah.
But what that did is it meant my mom was the most loving person in my world. But every time she loved me, there was so much threat and panic I was in, because I knew I could never be enough. I knew I would always fail, because a little kid can't meet an adult's needs all the way. A little kid can't be fully everything their parent wants. And so my mom was constantly unhappy. But then I thought it was my job to make her happy. So there was this thing of, she's the most loving person, but she's the most threatening person. I had this sense of like, I like closeness with you, but also I'm constantly trying to like, I need some boundaries. And so that started to confuse in my brain this need for connection and this need for space and a sense of self and autonomy that we all have in every relationship. Now these two are getting like locked, where they are confused. And now I'm ping-ponging between knowing how can I actually feel safe.
Yeah. I love that. I think a really good definition for disorganized attachment is that feeling of my need for connection and soothing is being met by the same person that feels dangerous to me.
Yes.
So that experience of like, I need you a little bit for connection, and my body subconsciously feels like this amount of closeness isn't good for me.
Yes.
And that is just a very confusing internal reality to have on the inside.
Love and danger when they're met by the same person. Now, it may not be emotional incest. It could be that your parent is an addict.
Yeah.
So they're loving, but then sometimes they're crazy, or they're doing behavior you don't know what to do with. Or it could be mentally ill parents, where like sometimes they're a lot of fun, but other times they're very unpredictable. Or it could be people who are really dysregulated, because sometimes it's like they are the people you need to love you in your life.
Yeah.
But they're not safe. And so you simultaneously need connection.
Totally.
But also are trying to protect yourselves from them. And the idea of, imagine that if I'm with Justin and I at the same time need to keep my boundaries up, but also need love from him. Like the idea of like, I need to have you out here, but I also am trying to get connection from you. It's confusing all around.
Yeah, it's almost like I get a visual of like a car and you're literally flooring the gas and the brake at the same time.
Yes.
So it's like I want to go forward and I'm wanting to retreat at the same time. And almost like that sound that you hear of like a gunning engine.
Yes.
Like that's how it feels on the inside, like intense chaotic energy and the feeling of like my the tires are spinning on the inside of me because I'm feeling so much conflict on the inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you have any thoughts as we're sharing?
About the matter in general, or
or about your own life as you're listening, or
I mean, this is something that I'm very well aware of that I had experienced in my own scenario. Both, let me see how to put it. Like I had familiar experiences to what you've had.
Yeah.
And I had that very familiar experience inside of my body in relationships. And I've had that, gone into that as well inside of our relationship.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, I really want to be close to you, but also I feel terrified of you. So I would be back and forth fighting that inside of myself, trying to figure out like, what is the right thing to do? And then the question comes up inside of yourself, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just love this person and let them fully in? What are these walls that I'm bumping into that I don't understand? Like, and 100%. Especially back in the day, I didn't understand, okay, this is a sign that I feel in threat. I feel unsafe.
Right.
What do I need to do to communicate about the sense of unsafety that I'm experiencing so I can actually let those walls down and move towards connection through communication?
I love what you're describing because it just feels like such a core truth of what disorganized attachment feels like, which is like every child on the face of the planet wants to be close and love and be loved by their parent.
Every child needs
Every
that.
child needs that in order to survive. In the conflict that happens on the inside when you have walls towards your own parent because you subconsciously feel scared, but
Mhm.
you're not thinking that that is why you're reacting the way that you're reacting.
Yeah.
Mostly what it ends up feeling like is shame.
Yes.
I'm bad for the fact that
Yes.
I can't feel loved by you.
Yes.
And what is it that is fundamentally more wrong or more broken about you, about me, that I can't
Mhm.
feel the closeness that I'm supposed to feel? Like, I have this memory of whenever my mom would hug me. And I remember this one moment that I couldn't actually get my body to relax
Mhm.
into the hug.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter if I logically was like, isn't this
Relax,
nice?
relax. This is fine. It's nice. This is good. You want this.
Yes, I would remember laying on her lap and be braced in my body. And now
Mhm.
I can look back and understand, like, I had this subconscious feeling in my body of like, it's not safe.
Mhm.
But at the time, all I thought was like, I'm bad because I can't connect.
Yeah.
Like, I'm bad because I don't feel safe inside of this bond. This is my mom. I'm supposed to feel good in this moment, and I don't.
Mhm.
So I love what you're saying because I feel like it really describes the shame part that we feel
Yes.
on the inside with disorganized
Yeah,
attachment.
I think a lot of people resonate with that, where they're like, "What is
Yeah.
wrong with me? Why can't I do this? How am I?
Totally.
How am I so broken that I can't?" I know that that's been a struggle for years in certain relationships, where I'm like, I have this overwhelming sense of I wish that we could be close.
Yeah.
Of course.
And then at the same time, I'm like, every fiber of my being is on lockdown
Yeah.
the minute I'm engaging those relationships. And I'm like, because I'm so well aware of all the threatening behavior that is going to somehow come back and bite me in the ass or cut me in some way, shape, or form. So
Yeah.
I'm like, my body is telling me the truth of the boundary I need ultimately
It's really good,
inside
Justin.
of that. Like, my body is having a conversation with me saying like, yeah, your logic tells you you need to be able to be in this relationship, that you should be able to. Your logic is telling you this, but my
Yeah.
body is saying, but I'm telling you the reality of
Not
what
safe. Yeah.
this is not safe. I don't have capacity for this. And so
Yeah.
in that space, I'm like, well, then what do I do about that? That feels like the confusion, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do I resolve that?
Yeah, because the battle between I want connection and I'm terrified of being close
and
to you.
also, how do I resolve that if the person outside of me continues destructive behavior that
Yeah.
doesn't align with the law of love?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, which that's a whole different. I don't want to go down the concept of how do you interact with disorganized attachment with unsafe people, because that opens up a whole new can of
sure.
things. But the idea is understanding. I think if, as you understand these two things inside of you more, I think you can actually unhook from disorganized, even with the people that you're talking about.
Right.
And I think specifically about this counseling session that I had with my counselor. So I have a lot of body brace around my mom.
Totally.
And I love her. She's like, I mean, was my best friend for most of my life.
Yeah.
And
Which is confusing.
and I have a huge body brace. And so I felt that exact thing you're saying, so much shame
Yeah.
and confusion around like, how close do I be with her and how do I let her close? And so
Yes.
I have started exploring just that body sensation of how locked up I feel around her, how on guard I get. Not anymore. Has dementia, but in the past, those body memories. And I had this incredible session with my counselor where I was actually able to explain what it feels like on the inside. And I was like, what I wish
Yeah.
I could have done is said no to all of these behaviors. No, I won't be your confidant. No, I will not be your mom. No, I cannot hear your secrets. No, I cannot be close to you in this way.
Mhm.
But then also the experience of, I really love you though. I really want a mom.
Yeah.
I really want connection. I really want closeness. You're my best friend and you have so much empathy and I feel so understood by you. And I actually need that part of you. And
Mhm.
I went back and forth between the two, which was great. Like being able to say no over and over again. No, these things are not safe for me. And one of the things that and this helped me so much in Disorganized, is starting to recognize I'm allowed to say no to unsafe things so that I can say yes to the safe things. Because as long as the two are connected, I can't separate them. And so literally, I'm starting to organize my attachment. If you think about disorganized attachment, it's because it's all jumbled. What I'm starting to do is separate. I'm allowed to say no to behavior that is not healthy for me. I'm allowed to have no boundaries. I'm allowed to say, I can't do this if these threats are existing. And that enables me, when I am allowed to have those boundaries, that enables me to then say, but my heart is, I actually do love you and I do want you close and I do care about you if we can work through this stuff.
Well, part of what you're describing is exactly an answer to what I was saying, which is this thing out here is a healthily communicated boundary. It's a sense of, first of all, awareness of what you needed, because you looked internally and you're like, oh, these things are why I'm so gridlocked inside. So you became aware of the things that didn't feel good, and then figuring out like, oh, how do I actually bring that into the reality of this relationship where I say, can't do this, can't do that, can't do that. And then all of a sudden, again, once we figure out how to implement healthy boundaries in a loving, kind, and authentic way, all of a sudden I go, I don't need the boundary of I hate you, or my body doesn't need the boundary of complete, utter walls up, because we are proactively on behalf of ourselves setting those standards out here and adhering to them, being that not only will we either hold people accountable to doing them, and if they don't want to do them, then we create new options, right? Like we're like, okay, well, if you don't want to do that, the boundaries now become, we don't see each other except for once a year or once a month or something like that. But it's like that proactive, powerful step actually brings repair to this area of our hearts.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking about why I loved being able to do both so much in what you were describing is disorganized attachment really is about swinging between extremes in a lot of ways. So it's like, I'm going to swing to the extreme of the connection point. So that when I swing to that extreme over here with connection, I forget the boundaries exist.
Yes.
Like I forget my sense of self. I forget that I matter too. I forget that I can take up space on the planet too.
Yes.
I forget about that.
Yes.
To go over here. And then once I hit my threshold of however long I can be in that relationship without it feeling like we aren't meant to hold relationship that vulnerable for that long, having that few boundaries. So of course our body naturally is like, well, F that, I need to be safe now. And so then you swing over to the, I'm going to be all by myself or independent or go internal and swing between that. And so to me, healing with disorganized attachment is being able to hold them both together so that we're not having to swing between such dramatic extremes to be able to get what we need.
That's such a good explanation. Guess what we just did?
What did we just do, Abby?
We created the connection cure. And I think this is the thing that I'm most excited that we've ever created for people, because it is all of the years of courses that we've made, making it available in one monthly healing membership where you get to be connected to people who are going on the same journey as you while getting access to all of the things that we have made: relationship glue, reclaiming you, the compassion project,
the Father series, Living Fully Alive, the regulation library.
Yes, we have so many things that we've created over the years. We've had over 10,000 people do our courses. We've met with over 4,000 individual clients. And now we have brought all of it together so that you could have access to all of it for less than one counseling session a month.
Yep. And what's really cool is that monthly we have live connection calls where people get together and have those connection moments, talk about what they're going through, how they're healing in their process. And that's been one of the number one things that people have said is so incredible about doing our courses is the community that they create and the healing that takes place inside of that community. I mean, we've had people find their spouses,
find their best friends, find their community, because finally there's people where they realize I'm not alone and I'm allowed to be loved right now in the messiness of my life before everything is fixed, before everything is perfect. You can belong before you have transformed. You can be loved before you're fixed in this community. And it is really rich and beautiful and healing. We're meant to heal with each other. And the whole point of why we made this is so that people could have a holistic healing pathway. We do so much with connecting to your body and actually learning how to move with your body through emotions so that things don't get buried alive in your body. The body keeps the score. We want to zero that score out. And then we have heart connection stuff where you're actually feeling empathy for yourself and others, where you're actually connecting to your own story and you're actually having time to not just learn logically about why you do what you do, but actually have new feelings towards yourself. And then we have all of the logic, the neuroscience, all of the reasons why your body and your brain do what they do so you can actually understand yourself for the first time and start to have kindness towards why your body is made to react the way it is so that you can heal. It's body, heart, and mind all together in a way that is really, really beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a really cool membership because you get to stay as long as you want or as short as you want inside of it. You're not trapped inside of it, but you have access to an incredible community and great information. And so that is coming soon. You can go to Justin and Abby, that's abi.com, and you can get on our mailing list there, and we'll let you be the first to know when we release that. But this is something we've been planning for a while now, and I'm glad we're getting to do it.
It's about to come out. Can we share both? Like, I'll share some of how I did this in relationship. We can all kind of share ways that we did. So
That's great.
I know that I would, in a lot of fights with you, and I would feel really rejected, but I wasn't fully aware of that. Attachment helped me recognize where I was feeling a loss of attachment. So before that, I didn't recognize this is what is threatening me, is I'm feeling that disconnection. And so now I can recognize the disconnection. But before, I wouldn't notice that there was a disconnection. I would just all of a sudden feel my body in panic. And maybe sometimes I would try to come do something to get close or whatever. And if that didn't work, then I would be, or I might pick a fight. Or if that didn't work, then I would like run away and be like completely done. And I needed you to chase me. And that is the confusing part about disorganized attachment is I'm saying I want to be by myself, leave me alone. But if you left me alone, I would have felt so rejected and abandoned and unloved.
Yeah.
And so I would go towards, I need to be by myself, but I need you to come chase me. I need you to come because really, I wasn't safe by myself. I couldn't find my way back to love if I was by myself. And and so I needed you to come. And then the subconscious hope was that if you pursue me, I'll know you care enough that maybe I can feel safe again with you.
Yeah.
From whatever just happened that made the disconnect.
Yeah.
Like I'm feeling so threatened by the disconnect that if you pursue me enough, maybe my heart can like soften again and open back up.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a very relatable experience you're talking about. It's also a very scary and dangerous one to be on the other side of. So, but I've done it. When I say it's relatable, I've done it.
Yeah.
You know, I have done the fuck you, and then I storm off, and like inside of myself, I'm going, please come chase me and tell me that I'm lovable. Please come. Tell me that you aren't over me and don't want to dispose of me.
Yeah.
Tell me that in my brokenness here, I still matter and I still have worth. And so I know that I've participated in it. But again, on the other side of it, it feels horrible because it's like this sense of, I don't know what you really want. It feels like a double bind. Like that's a word that I've talked about that I've experienced in the marriage and you've probably experienced. But that double bind of like, no matter what I do, I lose in this.
Yeah.
If I push in, maybe she's more angry that I pushed in and I'm failing that because she wants me to go away. But if I go away, now she's more angry and storming around that I went away. And so I can't win. And I think that, you know,
Disorganized attachment is nothing inside me can win, and so nothing inside you can win either.
yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. And I know that I think a lot of people in a lot of relationships, like this is this is so normal for so many people that will do this behavior.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that we're bad for it. It just means that like, it's both tormenting inside of ourselves and it's tormenting for someone on the other side. So I know that I would do that. I would pull away. I've had that with certain other individuals in my life where I'm just like, everything inside of me is going to avoiding. And I'm like, I don't want to be around you. I don't want to be around you. But I'm like looking at my phone being like, but will they show me that I matter enough, that they love me, that they will reach out to try and repair the things that they honestly have broken
Totally.
in their behavior.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I've totally been there and I've done it. I've exhibited it and I've experienced the pain of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what it's looked like the most in our marriage, I was very confused because it felt like you were so independent in a lot of ways. You just wanted to go be on your own. You wanted to go be by yourself. There was such a strong wall towards wanting alone space.
Right.
And then there was this other part of you that would really lean in when we got into fights and would really want to repair that. And so
I would go into, let me add this to it. I would go into panic. Like this is one of the tormentors for me. There could be behavior that I didn't do wrong necessarily. Like I could be like, I've done nothing wrong here. She's like gone off, but I am in panic about the disconnection.
Yeah.
And I am like, I'm sorry. What can I do differently? And I'm just trying to turn back on the connection switch that's inside of it, even at the detriment of not having any boundaries or not talking about how I feel affected by it.
Right. So you might be like, I did nothing wrong, but I am going to fawn.
Right.
I'm going to fix this with her. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to whatever so that connection can turn back on.
Yeah. So I don't have to live in the excruciating torment of this.
Yes. Which ultimately all humans are driven by that. We need connection and we need autonomy. We need to be able to have boundaries and a sense of self and feel safe. And we also need to be able to feel connected to one another. And so when we start to recognize every human, when they feel a disconnection, every human reacts subconsciously, typically.
Yeah.
They have a reaction subconsciously for what am I going to do to get back to safety when there's disconnection?
Yeah. And for me, I want to add this. I could go into the avoidance, right? Part of it to try and settle everything inside of my soul. And logically, the conversation in my head would be like, I don't want to be around her. I don't need her. I'm better off right here in this situation. But the unconscious thing that was going on in my body that I wasn't being honest with myself about is sheer panic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was in, I was in massive amounts of anxiety throughout my body for the entire period until there was a reconnection.
So even though you're like, I don't want to be around her at all, I'm so glad to be separate, you actually didn't feel relief from being separate.
I didn't feel relief.
Yeah. And was there that confusion? Did you feel confusion inside of you sometimes around that?
I felt a ton of confusion around that. There was an aspect of that started settling inside of me, our disconnect, when I started getting secure inside of myself.
Yeah.
Like a personal self-securing relationship that said, I'm going to be okay if this relationship's not okay.
Yeah.
But until that started happening, it was constant panic on the disconnection.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. And to me, that is a lot of what disorganized attachment feels like. It's panic on both sides of it.
Yeah.
So again, like the idea of like there's a threshold on how much intimacy I can have before I feel panic. And there's a threshold on how much aloneness I can have before I feel panic. So it's like a faulty alarm system that goes off real loud over here and goes off real loud over here.
Yes.
Which creates a lot of chaos on the inside of us.
Yeah. And that's where a lot of what I've been doing to heal for people who are listening is I've been working on being able to hold both in my body, like both at the same time, learning to integrate instead of having this one part of me that loves being alone and this one part of me that is obsessed with connection. I'm working on actually merging together where I'm like, the concept of I can be alone and together, and I can be safe in both scenarios.
Yeah, which is moving towards secure attachment.
Yeah.
That's really what secure attachment is being able to do those things.
I'm
both.
not quite there yet, but I'm growing. I'm
Moving
closer than
towards.
I've ever
I've
been.
noticed that you're moving towards secure attachment better and better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we both are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And part of it is also because we're able now to communicate our needs and what's happening internally a little bit more. So I'm much more capable of saying I'm feeling really rejected right now. In the past, with disorganized attachment, rejection is catastrophic. Like the one thing I can't do is feel rejected in relationships. So I'm going to go into disorganized attachment, which means I'm either going to reject you first.
Yeah.
If I even sniff the rejection could happen, or if I'm like texting somebody and it sounds like maybe they don't have time to meet, it'll be like, oh, I actually have plans anyway.
Mhm.
Oh, or maybe like I'm hanging out with somebody and they might want to cancel and I can tell, oh, they might cancel. I'm going to cancel first. Or maybe they haven't responded recently to a text or a call I've done. I'm going to stop calling or texting them for like a few months so that I am not at the threat of being rejected.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, the aloneness doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So then I'm just stewing. I'm either mad or I'm upset or I still am pinging around. Well, this didn't, like, what if it doesn't work? What if me ignoring them doesn't work? Now I need to come back and be angry at them. Like I need to find some way to let them know I'm not okay to try to get back to that disconnection, which is just chaos.
Yep.
Yep. They avoided rejection at all costs. What is an example for you?
I wanted to add something really quick. I think that for me, another part of the ways that this was actually solved for me is when we walked through a season where I was like, oh, we might actually end up divorced.
Mhm.
Like it's very possible that all this is going to melt down.
Yeah.
And there was such a coming to a reckoning inside of me as, am I truly okay without this relationship? And do I want to be in it? And so that settles, like the way that I respond a lot of times now to our exchanges isn't, oh no, what if she leaves? It's truly, I'm truly like, could lose the relationship. She might get angry and leave and I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
I'm coming to repair because I love her and I want to build connection inside of this. And it's not a fear of a lack of something. It's a desire to move towards something.
Like I have
resolved.
vision that I want this, not I'm terrified of losing it.
Yeah. And it's an entirely different way to approach relationships. And it brings so much balance to them and settledness and safety.
And for the record, I wasn't threatening divorce all the time, and I'm not like
and I wasn't
pulling away
either.
in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you're just saying you went through the fear of that.
I'm saying I went through the reality check that the two of us might go bust completely. And this shit is not going to work out because we are both trying to resolve things that may not be resolvable from the history of our relationship. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I accepted that and I explored the reality of that. Okay, what if that does go away?
Yeah.
What's the truth of that inside of it? And so it brought safety into my own body.
Yeah. What you're saying is you got rid of a bunch of the threat that you'd been carrying.
Correct.
And that is organizing. Kind of the concept, if we're thinking about it, disorganized is everything's everywhere.
Mixed
You
together.
started organizing it a little bit, which was I'm not trapped with somebody or desperately needing them in order for me to be safe. I can find a sense of safety here within myself. So now I'm less panicky over in that area so I can actually choose what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds like you found a way to tolerate the sensation of fear of abandonment a little bit more.
Yeah.
So like I think disorganized attachment is healing from disorganized attachment is trying to learn to tolerate rejection a little bit more and abandonment a little bit more. Like those are the primary.
Hate it.
Yeah, because those are the primary intolerable emotions on both of those spectrums.
Mhm.
So you're learning to be like, how would I be okay even if we didn't stay married?
Mhm.
That concept is allowing yourself to tolerate the fear of abandonment and then realize that you could still find a sense of safety inside of that.
Yeah.
For me, the way I've worked on tolerating rejection more has been one, naming it. I mean, like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm feeling rejected.
Yeah, you've done a good job at that.
And then actually
Yeah.
saying it to people, which I mean, it was so excruciating to me. I couldn't even say it for a while. And sometimes I'd have to have like my friends like, okay, hold my hand while I say this because this feels so
Yeah.
horrible to say. And then I started recognizing it's a sensation in my body
It's great.
from my childhood of aloneness.
Mhm.
And so I've started being like, it doesn't mean that I'm in the threat that I was as a little kid.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that my whole future is at stake. It doesn't mean that all of my security is at stake. It actually just means that I'm feeling a little bit of an uncomfortable human emotion.
Mhm.
So I've been able to take rejection from intolerable, I have to avoid it at all costs, to
Yeah.
I can tolerate it a little bit. I can talk about it a little bit, and I can recognize it's a human experience, not a definition of if I'm lovable, value, or going to be safe.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And being able to notice the difference between then and now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think disorganized attachment is any sign you could look at me funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this means I'm being rejected. And I have all this evidence in my past history of feeling rejected in my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And so my immediate conclusion is it's happening right now, exactly like how I thought it was happening
Yep.
before.
Yep.
And disorganized attachment is that sort of superimposing of those past attachments from our childhood over the top our present attachments now.
Mm-hmm.
So when I detect a little bit of rejection, I'm like, it's happening again.
Yes.
Ah! So being able to separate that a little bit in the present day, being like, just because I'm sensing our idea of rejection doesn't mean that I'm in the past fully all over again.
And for me, a lot of the ways I've dealt with this is letting all my friends know. So they, all of them, like you have a lot of empathy. So you know that I go into disorganized. So if I felt rejected by you, most of my friends know coming close to Abby is one of the ways to diffuse it.
Yeah.
If I just do something that initiates some kind of connection.
Yeah.
Or for you also, sometimes you feel my autonomy boundaries.
Mhm.
And so when you feel those, you know, if I can give her a little bit of space,
Yeah.
then she can also feel safe.
Yeah.
And so both of those things are, and it's actually that I am communicating typically. You're aware which I need.
Yeah.
In the past, people were having to try to guess, and they often guessed wrong. But now, because there's more awareness inside of me, I can be like, I'm more clear, like, hey, I could tell I needed some autonomy space in this thing today.
Yeah.
And you will notice that. And then you are comfortable giving that. And that's a beautiful ability to be able to even just recognize that there's two things in me and then recognize what I need is part of reorganizing instead of living disorganized.
Yeah. And what I love about how you're describing that too is that you're finding a way to be congruent with what you're saying and what you're having happening on the inside.
Yes.
Like when I think about, for me, and disorganized attachment is similar to how you're talking about going away and wanting Justin to follow you. I did that exact same thing in my marriage where I'd have like I wasn't very fighty. That's just not my personality as much, which I think is helpful for people to know. You can have disorganized attachment, and that doesn't mean that necessarily that you're raging.
Yep.
But I just go like ice wall, and I'm like, I'm fine. I don't know why I would ever need you anymore. I'm cool on my own. So I'd go be by myself. But again, what I would feel on the inside is, oh my gosh, isn't it horrible that he's not following me into my hole? I'm so sad. He must really hate me now, and I must be really alone.
Right.
And so it's that feeling of powerlessness of I actually want something different on the inside than what it seems like I want on the outside. And that incongruence is just difficult to hold, and it's difficult to feel misunderstood. It's difficult to feel like you're doing something that isn't totally in alignment with what it is that you're feeling on the inside. And so I love what you're saying, because it is that almost like being congruent with your words and what you're communicating to people. That is like, I'm having some need for autonomy. So I'm actually just saying I'm having some need for autonomy, or I'm having some need for reassurance or connection. So I'm actually just asking, can you reassure and connect with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
And even just knowing the difference inside of us and what it is that we really want, that took me a long time.
Yeah.
because they were so
Interwoven.
intertwined
Yeah.
and all over the place.
Yeah.
One thing I was thinking about what you were sharing is that I think disorganized attachment, obviously it starts in our childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go into disorganized attachment, I'm often in flashbacks. And that's not like current
Yeah.
visual flashbacks. I'm not remembering anything that happened in my childhood, but my body is replaying the deep feelings of panic, of you are not safe.
Yeah.
And I need you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the confusion. And so like when I'm like, I need somebody to chase after me, or I need somebody to leave me alone, or I need somebody to, I'm confused about what I need. I need you to figure out what I need and help me figure that out.
Yeah.
That is a little kid desire. That is a little kid need. Please, I need a parent to come help me sort all of these big feelings inside of me.
It's really good.
And so, and then the idea is we want our partner or our friends to be able to do that. But then we feel that same, this is not safe that we felt towards our parents if it wasn't fully safe. You know, for me, my mom ended up being addicted to drugs. And so there was a lot of inconsistent patterns she started doing.
Yeah.
A lot of things where I never knew what to expect with her. And so this idea would be like, if I need somebody to come help me organize what's happening, help me understand my needs.
Yeah.
If you don't do the right thing, or you do something that feels unpredictable or whatever, I'm right back to feeling like, get out of here, Mom. You're being crazy. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And I think that desire, if you can start to recognize even I'm in my little kid.
Yeah.
Because that was a lot of what destroyed our marriage, is I would be in my little kid and I'd be asking you, and it felt like so pure-hearted on the inside. On the inside of me, I'm like, please, I'm being bullied inside by my need for safety. I need someone to come help me understand myself and what's going on. Please, can you come tell me what I need and what's going on? And can you just know? And then I'd be angry when he didn't just know. How do you not know what I need? Even though I don't know what I need. How do you not know how to meet this issue? How do you not know the right thing to say? How do you not know how to make my little kid feel safe? You're smiling like you're feeling validated by this.
I'm in a flashback
from our marriage.
I'm joking, but yeah, it is, as you're talking about it, I'm very aware of how painful it was to be on the other side of that, how scary that felt. If you're to use like language, like my soul was like, this is terrifying. I don't know what to do. This is unpredictable. I'm going to get hurt so bad inside of this situation. I'm not set up for success. I'm only going to fail. I'm completely inadequate because I can't do this. And I had, again, just enough of a system from my history to be like, yes, I should be able to. And so I already had a monster inside of me that says I should be able to fix this person. And this person is saying you should be able to. And I'm like, you're right. This is double tormenting.
I should, and I can't.
At least if I didn't have the should monster in the back of my head already from this programming, I would have been able to be like, you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs if you think I can do that. Like, I'm not a problem on this. Like, I could show up better, but I can't fix you. I could be loving and kind, but I can't fix you. But I couldn't get to that peace inside of my soul. I had a deep lack of peace over it.
Yeah. And typically it would be like, I felt a quick threat of rejection or abandonment or disconnection.
Right.
And then my little kid went into a flashback, and then I acted out towards you, and I did a lot of the push-pull.
Yeah.
Get away from me. Why are you walking away from me? Yeah.
Which is so, like, I resonate so much with that feeling on the inside, which is what you were saying earlier. I almost teared up because I was just thinking about, like, it does feel so pure-hearted on the inside. It really
Yes.
just feels like a little kid being like, don't leave. Know what I want. Take care of me, please.
Please help me.
Totally. And then
I'm dying in here and I'm trying to get to you.
Exactly. But then my husband is like, this feels like an FU wall. And what a
Yes.
wild, like that inconsistency. And so I think that's just encapsulates it so well. And then what I was thinking about for you, Justin, what makes so much sense about you in what you're describing is so often something that does create disorganized attachment is parents consciously or unconsciously setting you up to fail on things. So like there is an experience of like, you need to clean the house. All the house on Saturday. And then the kid might be like, but I don't know how to clean the house. How do I clean the house? And then the parent is like, well, you should know. Are you an idiot for not knowing how to clean the house? That type of parenting where you're setting kids up to not be able to know what to do or how to do it creates a lot of natural freeze response in a child's attachment system. So to me, as I'm hearing this, I'm like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense. There'd be that feeling of there's nothing I could do. I'm failing. I'm feeling unsuccessful because I bet your early attachment history is saying I was set up to feel like I couldn't win a lot of times. And so now I'm running into the why even bother trying? I'm a failure wall over and over whenever she has emotions.
Yeah, that describes it 1,000%. I can't win this. And there's this torment of trying to win. Like trying to solve the puzzle without the pieces of the puzzle.
It's such a powerless feeling.
It's a super powerless feeling, which is why I cycled in suicidal ideation when I was young. And then there was an aspect of that perpetuated inside of marriage is because I'm like, I can't fix this. I don't have the right pieces to fix this. Whether it was her not setting me up for success for it, or it was literally like
the body memory. Yeah.
Or it was, I've never had it modeled, like just marriage in itself that's successful. So I have all these missing pieces to do this thing that I'm supposed to be able to figure out how to do.
And for someone who has disorganized attachment, there wasn't someone that you could go to regularly to be soothed. So it's not like your dad is a great soother or your mom is a great soother. It's like there's nowhere. Where's the soothers?
Right.
And so we get in marriage and we don't know how to soothe.
Yeah.
Right.
We sometimes know how to fawn.
Yeah.
How to act nice to try to help.
Yeah.
But I might not know how to give soothing because I never was soothed.
Because you never received it.
And I don't know how to soothe myself because I never was soothed.
Yeah. And I think that would you say another word for soothing is comfort?
Yeah. Great. Right. Interchangeable.
Yeah. And so for me, and this is a discussion I've had consistently with counselors, is like, I don't know how to get to comfort. Like I've progressively in my own journey learned how to give myself comfort, receive comfort from people who can give it. But that was a foreign thing to me. So I'm just, my insides are screaming, I don't know how to settle this thing down, which is where I went to. I had a food addiction, you know, I'd binge eat and stuff like that. To deal with it. And like, oh, I guess and that was a childhood thing of like all of this pain that's going nuts inside of me. I'll just slam a bunch of food and hopefully that will curb.
This happens a lot with disorganized attachment because it's how do I get comfort without the threat of attachment?
Yes.
It's such a brilliant strategy. If you think about it, like if pulling close to someone, if the person is simultaneously dangerous and comforting, that's going to feel really difficult to go to that when I actually need something. So I'm going to find some other strategy, some other way to get what I need.
I think that's what especially made you feel dangerous in our relationship for me is the sense that there was this chaos over here that we were experiencing, but also you could show up in a way of comfort that I hadn't experienced. So you felt especially dangerous.
Yeah.
I haven't articulated in my head, but like as we're talking about this, I'm like, oh yeah, you felt especially dangerous because I could finally get a nurturing, soothing experience.
Yeah.
But now that meant I felt wildly out of control.
100%.
Because now this person's going to comfort me somewhere. But that
also
knife.
stab you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that was the most confusing part of childhood is like the person who's kind of loving, but also is constantly stabbing you.
Right.
Because if you like there wasn't an ability to get to that safety there. So now it's been confirmed that you have somebody that is so loving and you're so excited about that, but then is a little crazy. And so that feels terrifying. And there isn't that ability to know inside of ourselves how do I even process this confusing
Yeah.
behavior?
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to confusion. Like, I didn't know how to process my childhood. Like, I didn't realize for years how confusing my childhood was.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, of course, you didn't realize how confusing it was. And then it would feel really scary. And I'm just so sorry. It would feel really overwhelming because there is a part of me that is so loving and safe. And then there was a part of me that was so dangerous. And I wanted you to stay close. And I was mad when you wanted to disconnect, but it makes sense that you were just needing safety and that sometimes disconnecting was more safe. And then that would create chaos for me. So it made sense that you felt trapped and powerless about what can I do to feel loved and safe. And that I felt that way too.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for saying that. To echo that, there's a lot of ways that I was very nurturing towards you and compassionate. And then you have the flip side where there was outbursts and anger and pulling away and disconnecting. And so that'd feel so incredibly confusing for you as well. That would feel so dangerous because it's like, but he's so loving and so kind on this side. But then I experienced this over here. So that obviously would amplify your disorganized attachment as well. And that's where a lot of the bad dance that we had, we got into.
Yeah, I think we just ping-ponged between disorganized. And I think I got more and more unsafe inside of me because of your unpredictable behavior and it feeling like my childhood. And then you got more unsafe inside of you because of my unpredictable behavior. And then you got more disorganized. And so I think it like grew, like magnified that.
Yeah.
And I think this is a really common thing. I think a lot of couples have this feeling of like that part of my partner is really amazing and loving and part of my partner is really unsafe and threatening. And I think that is a complicated thing to learn how to process.
Yeah. I think it's one of the most confusing ideas is when closeness and love becomes threat. It's just a complicated feeling on the inside.
Yeah.
Like when I was listening to you, Justin, talk about like for the first time, there was areas that she felt comforting and that felt scary.
Totally.
That is such a confusing reality to sort when the feeling of the love that you've been longing for also brings up all of your deepest fears and self-protective responses.
Yeah. Because you're like, wait, was it better if I wasn't loved then? Is that better? I did think I wanted to comment one more thing and then we can move on to more examples of disorganized because we're just talking about ours. But it's kind of similar to what we've already said. But I had such a felt reaction when you were talking. I have an ice wall that you have felt before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where like I feel hurt or whatever. And so there's like a wall. I can feel it in my own body go up like it's like a shield that goes up and there is like daggers from my eyes coming out. And there is like a wall of coldness. But what you don't know is
which by the way, it's worse than just yelling and freaking out at me. I'm like, this feels like it's
so
shredding me a million
sorry.
times more than if there was an outburst.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm like, oh, the things that I imagine that she's thinking about murdering me and stuff like that right now.
Well, what I don't know if you know is most of the time behind that ice wall, there's this thing inside my chest going, I really want to get to love. I really want to love you. I want to say the right thing. I want to be able to get out of threat. I want you to still love me. Like a huge part of it feels like a little like monster in my chest. That's like it's like I feel trapped by my own ice wall.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't choose the ice wall. My body chose it.
Yeah.
Inside, I want to get to connection. I want to get through the ice wall. I feel trapped by my own self-protection that has come up because I really want connection with you. I really want more closeness. I want us to be able to be safe, but my body and my inner desires are not in the same thing. And that's kind of that disorganized concept of there are two parts in me fighting and one of the parts has won. But I'm not necessarily wanting it to win, but it won.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
So for future reference,
I'm not always thinking about murdering you. Yeah,
closeness and
that
connection.
feels true.
Yeah.
Okay, well, one thing that I'll just go through a couple last closing thoughts then. Common childhood messages for disorganized attachment is I can't trust people. I can't trust people to be safe. Love is unpredictable. If I let people in, I'll get hurt. And so if you struggle
those are
with
very
those
intimate things that I felt inside of myself.
Yeah.
From my
Did you
from my
feel
childhood.
resonant?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's very aware. Those are 3 statements that were inscribed on my soul for years. Yeah.
I hate that.
Oh,
those are the
thanks.
messages when you grow up with unsafety.
Yeah.
Where you begin to become disorganized inside of yourself.
Right.
And so if those resonate with you, you probably have disorganized attachment.
Yeah.
Quit bullying me.
Other things is a lot of times people disorganize self-sabotage. And we haven't mentioned this, but you can self-sabotage as much from feeling close as from
so
feeling disconnected.
Yes.
Because when you have disorganized attachment, getting too close to somebody actually feels dangerous.
Yeah.
And so if you start to feel safe with somebody, your threat system in your body will be like, nope, it's not safe. And so you'll like panic, you'll self-sabotage, you'll disconnect. You'll be like, we can't be this close because closeness equals danger in your body.
Yeah. The closeness itself is the threat, which is a wild scenario.
Which that's like all those people are like, I don't know why I can't stay in these relationships that are so healthy.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Disorganized attachment, you are drawn to chaos. You are drawn to avoidant people.
Yeah.
Because you're like, you will not get too close.
Yeah.
And that feels safer. I mean, that is something that I've had to work on, both being drawn to chaos and avoidance, because it feels safer than the closeness feels.
Yeah.
Because the closeness feels like it could suffocate me.
100%.
And I don't want to be suffocated by people. So I'm like, oh, it's safer if there's a little bit of space, a little bit of disconnection. Even if I have to be pursuing you and running after you, that feels way safer than feeling like I have to protect myself from your needs.
Totally.
And then you have also people not being able to be safe in a secure relationship. If somebody actually is safe and secure, it feels boring. It feels threatening. Like if there's stability in your relationship, you actually start to feel threatened because you're like, I don't know what to do. If things feel safe, it feels unsafe.
Yeah. Because if you think about what creates disorganized attachment is a good amount of chaos and unpredictability in childhood. So it's weird to say, but unpredictable becomes predictable.
Yes.
You're like, I can predict the crazy, and that feels now safer
I can navigate
to me
this
because I kind of feel like there's a blueprint for how to navigate chaos. Whereas I don't know if I have a blueprint for how to navigate this weird, secure stuff that's going on right here that is more chill and actually brings up quite a bit of discomfort.
Not only does it bring up discomfort, but they try to readjust the relationship unconsciously by setting fire to it and causing the person to rise to the level of their previous chaos. Yeah. They're like, poke, 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 poke. Come on, come to my chaos. Come to my chaos. Okay, I can feel a lot more peace in this because you went out of being a safe person into being the chaotic person
that I expected.
It's almost like the thermostat of your nervous system is set at like an 80 degrees. And so if you get married to someone and their thermostat is like 40, you will naturally want to do stuff
to get them to
80 with you.
Yes.
Because that feels predictable and safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
The last thing I just want to say is everybody always asks like, well, is it my disorganized attachment or is it that my partner is unsafe?
Yeah.
And oftentimes there's like a mixture of things going on, right? I had disorganized and Justin was doing disorganized things too. So we were both, I was unsafe for him and he was unsafe for me, and it was creating an unsafe environment. And yet I had disorganized long before I met Justin. And so the answer is look at your history to see, do you struggle in relationships, sending mixed messages? Do you pursue, and then back away? Do you find yourself wanting closeness, but also wanting separation at the
Yeah.
same time? Have you found yourself not understanding what to do and feeling powerless in relationships to get your needs met? All of those things, looking at inside of my relationships in my life, and then going back to my childhood. In my childhood, was there a lot of unpredictable behavior?
Yeah,
Was there a
that's
lot of times that love and threat were mixed? You know, a great example would be sexual abuse. Love and threat are now mixed.
It's really
Or
good.
physical abuse. Often, if they're nurturing sometimes, but they're physically abusive other times, now love and threat are mixed. Or for me, my mom was one of the most loving people I knew, but then completely emotionally unpredictable. So
Yeah.
love and threat were mixed. And so if you can look back in your history and see, my childhood makes sense for me having disorganized, and I can see it in different moments in different relationships.
Yeah.
If you can see that, you will start to then be able to see, oh, this is something that's been happening in my world. And
Yeah.
it's not just because my current partner is not safe. And that doesn't even mean your current partner is safe. It just means now I can look at this information and start working on this thing inside of me. And the more I've been able to organize my disorganized, the more I've been able to know what relationships I can keep and which ones I need to walk away from. Because now that my threat and love is less combined and I'm seeing more like love and threat, I'm able to say this relationship is actually too threatening for me, but this one is feeling more loving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any closing thoughts, either of you two?
One more sign that I maybe just add to that is I just noticed I had a history of ghosting people. So I looked at over my history and then I was like, it seems like there's a threshold for how long I can be friends with someone without all of a sudden they're gone from my life. And I never even recognized that.
That's so
But I just started to
good.
track. I was like, then I had this best friend and we got really close. And then all of a sudden now not my best friend anymore. And then I got a new best friend. And then, there was like a time limit on how long I could be in that relationship for before suddenly automatically we're just not that close anymore.
Yes.
And so it's interesting because disorganized is you're both attracted to chaos and you kind of subconsciously create it, which is a real doozy.
Oh, it's so true.
So you find people and then you sort of contribute chaos, which makes figuring out friendship really difficult and complicated. But I will say, just look at the patterns overall. When I realized like, oh, I'm a ghoster. I just disappear. Oh, it's a hard reality to face, but it was a good indicator of disorganized attachment in my life.
I was similar to ghosting, whereas I had a dead zone that I'd created.
Totally.
And I had to work at I had to get everyone out of the grave that was inside the dead zone.
Yeah.
Because when there was enough pain that was applied, I suddenly went to that strong pendulum swing of I'm going to treat this like we never ever had a relationship. None of this ever existed. And so there are whole pieces of my life that the love, the care, the goodness that someone maybe had the capacity to provide was thrown out and all disappeared and buried because of how threatening they were on another side of stuff. And that was one of the things that I did in order to find my safety was I'll get rid of them altogether. That's too painful. They're just dead to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I had to be able to, part of the resurrection process for me was going back and internalizing each one of those relationships and asking the question, what is the beauty that the person had the capacity to extend to my life? And can I absorb that now? And in the future, instead of putting them in a dead zone, can I put them in a proper relational place inside of my heart where I'm like, oh, we might not connect all the time and there might be a really big pain betrayal that's here and there might need to be some big boundaries. And also I'm just going to sit with the goodness again that they've brought to my world.
I love that.
Yeah.
One of the last thing that I want to say, and we'll close this, is I felt a lot of shame in the beginning that I had disorganized attachment.
Yeah.
When you learn about them, they're kind of taught there's anxious and there's avoidant and there's secure, and then there's the really effed up group, and that's
100%.
the disorganized attachers, and they're difficult to be in relationship with.
Yeah,
because they are. we are difficult.
Yeah.
in that really heightened threat place.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of shame about it. And then it kind of flipped from shame to being compassion, where I realized my childhood was so confusing and I'm living out body memories from that. And that makes so much sense. And I think the most hopeful thing I can share with people watching is you can grow and heal. So the stigma around disorganized is they're the effed up people that will destroy relationships and destroy people and aren't safe.
Yeah.
And I have seen the more I've been like the more I've owned it, acknowledged it, and then started working on it inside of counseling and started working on integrating those two parts of me, practicing having a voice for my boundaries, learning how to actually hold that sensation of rejection and abandonment. As I've been doing all that work, I have become more and more safe in relationships for other people. And wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I do. And that doesn't mean I'm fully there yet. There's still parts of disorganized that show up, but I am growing towards safety. And so if I can encourage people that if you recognize that you're disorganized, that doesn't mean you're more broken than everybody.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us that exist. There's 3 of us in this room. So there's a lot of us that exist, and it's not what happened to you. It's what you do as you learn that.
Yeah.
Like, do you actually go on the journey of learning and healing? And it may not be a 1-year journey. For me, the disorganized attachment hasn't been a 1-year process. I'm taking my time working towards it, but it is possible to thrive and learn a whole new map than what your body knew as a kid.
The thing that makes you ever increasingly safe in this area is your connection to self-reflection. Like, the value for self-reflection creates a place that says, oh, this is safe, because even though there's still areas where this behavior is cycling, this person is actually looking honestly at themselves, the impact that they're having with this, and wanting to do something about it.
Yeah.
And to me, when I look at other people who hear this, I'm like, you can become safe really quick by being willing to rip off the Band-Aid of denial and give an honest self-reflection.
Yeah. You can learn secure attachment.
You can learn.
That was very helpful for me to find out. And just for the shame thing too, one last thing I'll say is that I thought that it was like 1%. I was like, it's probably everyone else. And then like the 1% of disorganized, we're actually the same. We're 15 to 20-ish% of the population, which is the same as avoidant.
Yeah.
So if you can just think about it as like, there are a lot of us.
Yeah.
And I'm not alone.
Yes.
On this planet.
Yeah, it's very true.
Right, which is interesting that it's not like we're 1% and avoidant is like 90%. It's like, no, it's kind of balanced, like across the board, the attachment
Which that
styles.
means that avoidance and disorganized are about 40%, which means that we're in the group that is almost equal to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
What's the percentage of anxious, do you know?
25%, I believe is what it is.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
How many
15 to
what's
25.
secure?
They register that it's like 50% is
50?
50, which
They're
I don't
liars.
think that
The
is
numbers
accurate.
don't add up.
And I
It's
think
not mathing.
That's actually not mathing.
that's not mathing. That's the percentages that someone named Diane Poole Heller cites. The ones I care about is just, oh, you know what? We're more than we think.
That's very, very true.
Yeah.
Well, if this episode was helpful for you, send it to all of your friends. If you're like, I'm disorganized and I do some weird stuff, start to name the weird things that you do and start to tell people about your cycles from the inside out and what it feels like outside of the moment so they can start to understand you. That's a great way to work on it. Share this to break the shame and the stigma. Know you're not alone. Go on a journey. There's hope for you.
If you haven't started watching us on YouTube, you can go to justinabby.com. That's abi.com/theconnectedlife. And it'll take you to our YouTube page. And you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the little bell button.
Yeah.
Ding.
Ding, 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 ding.
Who wants to say goodbye?
Bye.
It's not a goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Listen,
I don't like
bye.
I don't like those.
Bye.
It's got to be better
Listen,
than that.
disorganized attachment. It's hard to say goodbye. Bye.
I don't want to be around you anymore. I'm leaving. Don't go away.
Don't go away.
Keep
Just
watching.
keep the podcast going.
Why
a
are
little
you
longer.
watching me? Go now. And Oh, no, but don't. Bye.
Bye.